You are listening to the Adults on Disney podcast, episode 1. Today, we're talking about Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Hey everybody, Shamrock here. Welcome to Adults on Disney podcast. Thanks so much for coming. Adults on Disney is uploaded every Tuesday for your enjoyment. An audiogram will be available via YouTube for my deaf and hard of hearing audience or anyone who wants captions. I hope you come back often. Now, let's do this. This is episode 1, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. This is your host, Shamrock. I have one of my best friends, Allison, joining me today so we can talk some shit about this movie. Oh, and I see you have your wine.
Yeah, I didn't have any chilled, so I had to go with ice cubes.
Frozen grapes are supposed to be really amazing.
Yeah, I didn't have any of those either.
Gotta keep them stocked.
What are you going with?
I am getting me some Paris tea, Harney and Sons. It actually reminds me of like cotton candy. It's delicious.
Oh, that sounds good.
Yeah, I wish we had like smell-o-vision. That would be great.
I know.
I bought myself 3 bottles of wine.
Nice.
Not that I'm gonna drink them all right now.
Right.
But I got a blackberry one, a pumpkin something or other. And then the last one was like watermelon something. I decided to go exotic.
Wow. Yeah, you did.
So I don't have to share with Bryce because he would think that they were terrible. So I was like, well, I'm just going to get what I want. It's my birthday anyway.
Well, when you said blackberry, I'm like, what do I have? So I'm like, oh, I'll drink some strawberry wine.
Oh, nice. But I had to give myself some tea with this fabulous and amazing color-changing cup. I love it so much. You have no idea. It is so awesome.
I'm glad you like it.
Yeah, I posted it on social media. I've never been a social media person, but now I have to like
Now you have to be.
try to be like up with the kids.
Yep.
I don't think I could do Twitter, so I'm not gonna go that route.
You know what? I don't know who actually uses Twitter other than like Donald Trump.
Right? For everything. For absolutely everything. But oh, it's so good to see your pretty face.
I know.
And your background looks so legit. Like, it's awesome. I'm so jealous.
I did that so fast. I was like, oh man, I gotta find a Snow White background really quick. So I just Googled Snow White Zoom background and it was the first one that came up.
Nice. Fabulous. Very resourceful, I see. I have no idea how to start this, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Okay, so I was like, when I watched the movie, I mean, I haven't seen Snow White since, I don't know, I was a kid.
Wow.
Yeah. So I watched it and I'm like, there's not a whole lot to this movie. You know?
It's very straightforward, super linear.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
But I did take some notes. Let's see.
Sweet. I actually recorded me and Rowan watching it, and that girl, she had some funny things to say. Oh, there's some cute stuff. It was super funny because Grumpy refuses to like wash, and she's like, oh my goodness, they're like children, they just need to wash their hands. She's like, if they don't wash their hands, they're gonna get sick and they're gonna die. And I ended up going back and I added a little blurb and I'm like, when do you think we watched this? Oh yeah, in 2020 when there's a pandemic.
You have to say something about it being 2020, right?
I was like, of course, because I think she said like 2 different things very specifically about washing hands. I was like, man,
That's so funny.
imagine if we watched this a different time, if she would have
So
made
funny
such a
though, 'cause,
connection.
Yeah, you wouldn't have thought it like that thought would have never crossed any of our, like it wouldn't have been any big deal. Like you know, like it wouldn't have stood out at all.
Right,
If
right.
It wasn't 2020.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. For sure. What do you want me to call you? I don't know what you want me to call you.
Okay, what is Shamrock?
So my sister said I should have a handle. I know, it's weird. But it's actually kind of nice because I feel like I cannot be myself, which is the normal, like, super shy type of person.
Yeah.
But it's actually kind of funny because it goes back to like the 90s. I had people that would call me that in high school. I don't know honestly where it came from or why it happened, but it was like Shamrock, and I used to write it on everything, and I used to use it like everywhere.
Really?
I mean, I love the color green, so I don't know if that had a hand in it, but yeah, it's just, I don't know. It's probably easier to remember Shamrock than it is like Shamika, because then people are gonna be like, oh yeah, that podcast with Makisha or Shamaka or Shaquandra or Shaniqua, or you know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like it's better than something they can remember. Like, no joke, I have so many of those nicknames, but I don't know. I mean, maybe I'll get rid of it and I'll just be like, yeah, this is me.
It's funny. I mean, I don't have any cool names. You can just call me Allison, unless you want me to have someone.
Well, I don't know if there was like, we need to maintain some anonymity.
Allison who? There's no Allisons in the world.
That's A1LI. No, I'm just kidding. I'm totally joking. I'm putting.
I have nothing exciting to call myself. Like, nothing. No nicknames. You know, like I've always hated Allie, so like I don't let anybody call me Allie. I'm not exciting. I'm not an exciting person, Mika, you know this.
Allie from Cali.
Oh God.
Oh, it's
I've been in
terrible.
Wyoming for too long.
I know, it's bad. It's so bad. But yeah, it's good stuff. Good stuff. Yeah, I don't really know how to dive into this. I mean, I guess I can start off with all the ridiculous facts that I ended up collecting. I was gonna make a really bad joke because it's like I have my microphone. I don't know if you can see it. Bryce bought it for me for my birthday, and I was like, man, like what am I gonna do with this big like thing that's awkwardly in my face? Like that's what she said. But yeah, didn't really want to.
This is my. Oh man, you can't see.
Ooh, that is fancy. Wow. Very nice. Yours is also rather large.
Yeah. Well, because I do video recordings and trainings and stuff.
Oh, that's right. For work. Fancy. Fancy, fancy.
So there were like two things that I wrote down. I'm lame.
That's okay.
First one is I totally think they reused the same forest animals in Bambi.
Oh, mm-hmm.
But they had to. Like, Jake's like, there's Thumper, and there's
Oh, yeah.
all those forest animals, they were all the same animals.
And it's funny you say that because I didn't even notice. Like, I wasn't even paying attention to that. So that is cool. That is neat to see that.
Yeah. Like, it would make sense that they did back then, because, like, animation was not so easy back then.
Right. All the hand-drawn stuff, for sure.
The other thing I wrote down was when the first showing the dwarves and they lock up for the day and they leave the key to the vault. They lock the door and then they leave the key hanging.
Right. Oh, they're so ridiculous. They're so ridiculous. Yeah, it was.
Like, does the witch, or does the, well, I don't, wasn't really a witch, she was the queen or whatever, right?
Right.
Does she die when she falls off the cliff?
It's funny because we also made that comment when I was talking to Rowan. So I had made the statement, like in a lot of Disney movies, they don't usually show somebody dying or like dead. That's not something normal. And so I was making the joke. I was like, I mean, yeah, she fell off the cliff and a boulder fell off after her. She could probably like survive that. And then Rowan's like, but mommy, didn't you see the vultures? Like, don't they go after dead bodies?
I didn't even, oh my God.
It was funny. I was like, baby, she probably did die. I was just joking. I was being sarcastic. She totally thought I was being serious. It was fabulous. I loved it.
Oh my God.
Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. It was the first major animated feature film released in 1937.
Wait. Do you want me to just start recording and then you can just pick and use what you want?
Oh, I'm recording the audio. Yeah. I've been recording since like the beginning. Sorry, I should have given you a disclosure and be like, So you're on tape right now?
Yeah. No, I just wanted to make sure because I'm like, wait, this is good stuff.
Yeah. 1937. I didn't do the math. How many years ago is that? I'm really bad. 80 something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and to think like that movie with how old it is. I mean, obviously we're watching the remastered versions, but it's still really pretty.
Yeah.
Like it's still a really beautiful movie. It's never been one of my favorites, no offense to anybody out there. But I don't know. It's just never been one of my go-to Disney movies. They spent so much money on this movie. So their initial budget was $250,000. And in 2020, that would have been 4.5 million.
Wow. That's crazy.
What it actually cost to produce the film ended up being $1.5 million, which converted to $27.5 million.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's insane to like make this cartoon. And oh my goodness, it's supposedly like the highest grossing film of all time, which is pretty crazy if you
Well,
think about it.
Yeah, I saw something that it was also like the #1 animated movie of all time or something like that.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it grossed $8 million when it first came out, which was like 146.8 million like right now. And I'm pretty sure that is like head to head with most of the movies that get released nowadays in those $100 million figures.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it blew my mind. Oh, and I was looking up IMDb and they gave the most interesting like cut of the movie. It was, quote, exiled into the dangerous forest by her wicked stepmother. A princess is rescued by 7 dwarf miners who make her part of the household. And I was like, I mean, I guess we can go with that.
I know. Well, that's why when I was watching it, I was like, think about it now, like just like looking back at it, like she goes into like 7 men's, like little men's house and like cleans it up for them and cooks for them and this and that, and she's just, you know, living with these guys overnight and, you know, no big deal, like
right.
Meanwhile she's in love with the prince, you know, that
Right.
she happened to see one time.
Right. Oh my gosh. I think that was some of the things that I was saying in regards to my commentary when we were watching the movie. Is when you're watching it, you see the prince like ride up on his horse towards the castle. And it's like, so what are you doing there? Why were you riding by? And then you hop the wall, which is there for a reason. And you're like sneaking up on this girl who's like singing in the well. I'm pretty sure my words were like, you could get cut doing stuff like that.
It was definitely in the 40s and not something that would happen in this day and age.
Oh yeah, no, definitely not. Definitely not. I mean, in the fact that she's 14, she's like this little young girl, and then this prince, he's supposed to be 31. Straight up,
wait. Where did they get these numbers from?
It's supposed to be from Disney. I mean, you know, Google, everything on Google.
Well, I know, but I'm just saying, like, it's not like they say their age.
No, they don't.
You know, like in Little Mermaid, they say you're 16, right?
Right.
So in Snow White, it's not like they say it. So it just, I don't know. It's even more disturbing to hear that Disney's like, oh yeah, Snow White, she's 14 and the prince is 31. It's totally okay.
Yeah, they definitely throw it out there because they have, and you know, as we go through the different movies, I'll be putting them out there too, their ages, but they go and they talk about like Elsa and Anna. They're pretty much in their 20s. You know, they've definitely progressed, you know, since it's 2020 now.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was definitely one of those fun facts where you're just like, huh?
Just makes you wonder, were they, you know, fundamentalist Mormons or something? I don't know.
No offense to anyone. We're talking shit.
No.
We don't mean it. But
they wouldn't be offended by that.
Oh man. But yeah, Yeah, and it's funny too because as I was watching the movie, I was actually comparing it to the German fairy tale by the Brothers Grimm. That's based in like 1812. So I'm thinking that because like from the 1800s or whatever, even further back, people would get married like super young. That's why it was kind of like quote unquote okay. But I don't know. It's extremely interesting to see the differences. Are you familiar with the Grimm tales?
No.
Okay. So, yeah, there's a lot of crazy stuff, but it's along the same lines. Evil queen, jealous of Snow White, ends up burning out into the forest. The huntsman is supposed to cut out like an organ. Different versions say like the heart, or they say like her liver and her lungs. But the biggest difference is the queen eats them in the story, which is like super gross.
Snow White and the Huntsman or something, right?
I think so.
In class, they had one of their things that they were reading was it was like the Snow White and the Huntsman or whatever. And they were talking about eating the heart and eating, like it was like that whole version of it. And Kennedy
Okay.
like looking at me like, what am I reading in school?
Oh,
So
man.
she was kind of nervous going into watching it because of, like it is a little creepy. Like,
Oh,
like
yeah.
it's definitely not like sweet, and I don't know. I don't think they would still have the same context. Do you think that they would do that in Disney movies nowadays as they did then?
No, we've definitely made progress. I mean, society wise, just what's appropriate, what's not appropriate. So I feel like a lot of things that they've done. I mean, and it's not like the kids nowadays are super sensitive to things that are going on. I feel like they're probably more insensitive because of
That's true.
violence and gore in video games and what you see on television and things like that. So I feel like if anything, having those things in the movies would just be more accepted by
Yeah.
a lot of society now just because of
You
how
got a good
things
point.
but at the same time, Disney's the wholesome family friendly entertainment, which they're always gonna abide by. I mean, in everything they do, even with Star Wars and all these Marvel movies and things like that, like they go violent to an extent. There's graphic images or whatever to an extent. Like there's not a lot of bad language, there's not a lot of nudity or anything like that. So they're still sticking to like their original values.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, watching the movie though, some of those images were crazy scary. So there's a theater that they had to constantly reupholster their seats. It was the New York Radio City Music Hall. And they had to constantly replace the upholstery after each and every showing because the kids would wet their pants at the scene where Snow White got lost in the forest. And I remember watching it and thinking, like, oh my God, like it's vivid.
It is. It is.
It's kind of scary. Like the faces and the hands that are reaching out to you. And if it's designed for children, that's pretty scary for kids.
Yeah, it is. We were watching it outside at night.
Oh God, of course.
So yeah. So and we had the neighbor kid over when we were watching it. And so the girls
Nice.
at that part, the girls were kind of looking around him, like
Uh-oh.
on here. So yeah, I believe that kids wet themselves in the theater.
Right.
Especially back then too, I mean, because to your point, kids nowadays are even more a little, they're not as sensitive to things like that. So
Right. And it's funny too that in 1937 they were saying that it was deemed too scary for children in England, so anyone under the age of 16 had to be accompanied by a parent in order to watch the film. Like, what does that say about the images and the scariness of everything that's going on? But yeah, it's just I mean, it did really amazing. It actually got an honorary Oscar I don't know if you had looked online or not, but it was funny because he got a full-sized Oscar, and then they gave him 7 mini Oscars to like represent the
Really?
dwarves. Yeah, it was super cute.
Oh wow.
That's probably like the only time anyone's ever done anything like that.
When did the Oscars start?
Oh, I have no
I didn't
idea.
even think that the Oscars were around that long.
Oh, I don't know, probably 100+ years, I'm sure.
No.
If I end up researching, I'll probably stick it in here somewhere. So I ended up looking into the Oscars and I found that the Oscars, and this is all on Google, the Oscars were founded by Louis B. Mayer, head of MGM Studios, in 1927. The Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences were intended as a nonprofit organization with the goal of advancing the film industry. The first Academy Award ceremony took place 2 years later at the Hollywood Roosevelt Hotel on the 16th of May in 1929. So the Oscars have definitely been around for a long time. And then I found on Wikipedia, I know people say it may not be a very reliable source, but I mean, it's got interesting information, so we'll just run with it. It says the Academy Awards, popularly known as the Oscars, are awards for artistic and technical merit in the film industry. It is regarded as the most famous and prestigious awards in the entertainment industry. Given annually by the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences, the awards are an international recognition of excellence in cinematic achievements as assessed by the Academy's voting membership. The various category winners are awarded a copy of a golden statuette, officially called the Academy Award of Merit, although more commonly referred to by its nickname, the Oscar. The statuette depicts a knight rendered in the Art Deco style. Now, I thought that was really interesting because I always wondered what the Oscar was. I mean, it just looks like a gold little man, but looking at it now, I can definitely see it's a bit like a knight. Very interesting. I hope you like that fun fact. But yeah, it's gotten so many awards, like, selected for like one of 25 films for preservation in like the National Film Registry. It's like among one of the top 100 greatest American films. I mean, there's just so many things. It was nominated for like best musical score, the Someday My Prince Will Come, which is probably like the most popular song from that movie.
Oh, yeah, that and Whistle While You Work.
Oh, right. Yep. I didn't even think about that one. It's crazy that, this movie, and it was funny because nobody thought it was going to work out. Everybody thought it was going to be this big flop because nobody had ever done it before. Nobody had a full length animated film that came out before. So like, nope, it's going to flop. Nobody's going to watch it. You're going to lose all this money. I'm pretty sure Walt Disney almost went bankrupt. Like he had to borrow so much money. I mean, the original budget was $250,000 in 1937 money, and then for him to spend 1.5 million,
Yeah,
like in 1937 money. So yeah, it was a big deal. It was crazy. But yeah, it was interesting to watch it because normally Snow White, because it's not one of my favorites, it's usually just running in the background of whatever I'm doing.
mm-hmm.
So I don't actually sit and watch it. You're just kind of listening, you know what's happening. But to sit and actually focus on it, there were so many parts where I'm laughing. And I'm going to have to apologize to any of the listeners out there hearing my terrible laugh. Because there were just especially Grumpy, man. Like, I always wondered why people love him so much. And as an adult, I have so much more appreciation for him.
Right?
Because he's like talking to Snow White. Snow White's like, how do you do? And he's like, how do you do what? Or there's the other part. Oh, my favorite is when they're all like, oh yeah, I have this food and all of that stuff like I made for dinner, and she's like, but you gotta go wash or you're not gonna get a bite to eat. And Grumpy's like, I knew there was a catch. And I'm just like, man, Grumpy, you're awesome. And I'm like, fucking Grumpy, like,
Right?
But he's so much more relatable as an adult. As a child, you're just like, Grumpy, you ruined everything.
You know what though? That's what I love about going back and watching, Disney movies and stuff like that is you didn't realize as a kid how much like they put stuff in there for the parents and for the adults, you know? And you like when you're a kid, it just goes right over your head. But when you're watching the movie as an adult, it's stuff like that, like Grumpy and everything. Like that's in there for the adults, not for the kids.
Right. And it was, I don't know, it was nice to kind of go back and see those things and then to watch it with Rowan and kind of get her commentary on everything. Oh, craziest thing. So I came across with the Evil Queen, they had used the same actress for the hag, but they don't really sound the same.
Mm-mm.
What she ended up doing is they wanted her to have a more raspy voice. So she took out her dentures and did the voice for the hag, and her voice came out so like raspy because of it. And it was just it's scary how her voice changed like that.
I mean, just like able to talk,
right?
And say all her words correctly.
Yep.
And it just came out raspy without him. That's crazy.
It is. It's interesting. It just that little tweak that they ended up doing.
Yeah.
Which isn't too terrible. But and it was funny because when I was also doing my research too, they were talking about doing a prequel. They were supposed to start filming in like I think it was like the early 2000s. It was going to be the story of like the seven dwarves and how they met and how like the evil queen killed Snow White's father. It was going to be about how like Dopey just stopped talking. He saw his mother die or something like that. I don't know. There was just all these things.
That would be interesting.
But they ended up canceling it, which is crazy. And then they're talking about doing a live action Rose Red, which is Snow White's sister. And then they were actually going to start filming the live action Snow White and the Seven Dwarves this year. But, dun 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 dun, we got COVID. Yeah, hashtag 2020. Yeah, it was so crazy, like the different things that I ended up finding out. They had 25 songs for that movie.
Was there really?
Yeah, 25 songs, but they only put 8 into the movie. And it was the first movie to have like its own soundtrack that was released at the same time as the film.
Wow.
So, yeah, there were some interesting things that came out of all of that. I know I'm just like brain dumping here with all this useless information. But hey, if anybody ever keeps track of this stuff, they could probably, win like Trivial Pursuit or Jeopardy or something.
Right?
With all this ridiculousness. Yeah, I found some hidden Mickeys, so I'm going to post those images online. Yeah. There's one where she's scrubbing the steps at the very beginning. There's another one when the prince, he's like standing under some branches. And then there's the third one with Dopey and the bubble scene where he like swallows the soap. Yeah, I'll post those online.
Yeah. You found them or you Googled it?
Oh, no, I Googled it.
Okay, I was going to say.
I'm not that cool.
Like, wow, you saw 2? I saw none.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely not that cool. Oh, yeah, and I know I have like no specific order. I definitely need to work on my brain dumping process. In the Grimm fairy tale, Snow White never interacts with the prince. Like, never. Like, she doesn't meet him. She doesn't see him. They don't talk.
So he just randomly comes up to a glass coffin and kisses her?
Yes. Like, legit.
Because that makes sense.
Well, and it's funny, too, because even in the Grimm tale, he doesn't actually kiss her. Funny story about that. The Grimm fairy tale, it has the poison apple, but before she gets the poison apple, she actually has near-death experiences 2 times before that. So the evil queen dresses up like peasant person or whatever and sells her ribbons for like her bodice and ends up cutting off her circulation. So she like passes out and, almost like suffocates and dies. And then the dwarves come home and they like cut her ribbons in order to help, let her breathe. And then the second time the lady comes, but she's dressed differently again. It's a poisoned comb. So she's like, oh, let me fix up your hair. And the poison comb ends up like making her pass out or whatever. And then the dwarves come and they take out the comb before she ends up dying. And then the third time, the witch comes with the apple, she eats it, and they come, but they can't do anything to help her, which is why they put her in the coffin. And then when they put her in the glass coffin, the prince comes and finds her, and he's like, I have to have her. Like, I need to take her with me. And the dwarves are like, okay, here you go.
And that's it.
And that's it. So he takes the coffin, and it's the stupidest shit ever. They're carrying the coffin, and somebody like stumbles, so the apple dislodges from her throat. And so she wakes up, and he's just like, marry me. And she's like, okay.
Okay. And
Yeah,
you thought the movie was strange.
right. And here's the book.
Turn that up a notch.
Right. It is. It's pretty funny, just the differences between that and the book. Watching it and seeing those things. Yeah, I'll definitely be posting my reading of that. I actually read the Snow White and Rose Red story too, so that'll be there. Oh, they had 50 different dwarf names.
I saw some of those. I saw
Isn't
some
that
of those
crazy?
on an article and I was like, what are these?
They're ridiculous. Awful, Biggie Wiggy, Big O Ego, Blabby, Deefy, Dirty, Gabby, Gloomy, Hoppy, Jumpy, Hotsy, Jaunty, Nifty, Shifty,
Shifty.
Busy, Crabby. I know. Shifty. That's a shady character. Crabby, Duffy, Dumpy, Flabby, Helpful, Lazy,
Flabby. That would be my name.
Shut up. Whatever, not even. Sniffly, Stubby, Thrifty, and Wheezy. They almost had a Snoopy. Imagine how that would have changed
Really?
Charlie Brown. Yeah.
Wow.
So he would have, Walt Disney would have trademarked that. And then what's his Charlie Schultz guy? He would have just been, shit out of luck.
Yeah.
You're like, all right, well, what am I going to call this beautiful little white dog now? Yeah, it was crazy. Oh, so did you see the horoscope symbols around the mirror frame in the Queen's mirror?
No.
Yeah, she has the zodiac all the way around.
Oh, wow.
It is. That was an interesting detail that I saw. And did it blow your mind that she says magic mirror on the wall? Because most people think it's mirror, mirror on the wall.
I didn't catch that.
No.
I did not.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Hang on a second. Did you look this stuff up before you watched, so you were listening for it? Or did you really just catch that?
Can I say no comment and just feel smart?
Okay. You're like, yeah, you noticed that they said magic mirror, right? No. I swear I was paying attention to the movie. Just trying to make me feel stupid over here.
But I love you. It's great. I'm sorry. No, a lot of the things I ended up researching before so that I could keep an eye out.
Yeah.
I wanted to see if you or if anybody really would catch those things.
Well,
but-
now I want to watch it again, knowing all this stuff.
Right.
I feel like you've just ruined Snow White.
I know. I'm so sorry. One thing I did notice that I did not research before.
Okay.
The queen is sitting in her throne, and I was looking at her throne, and the throne is gorgeous. It's actually a peacock, and it has all the peacock feathers like as the top portion of her throne, and I thought that was just gorgeous because as I was watching, I was trying to like catch little details or try to pay attention to the illustrations and the drawings and things because it's very well done and very beautiful movie. But yeah, that throne, I thought that was it was stunning when I was watching it. So I was like, man, I'm going to make sure to mention that so people look out for it.
So I have a question since you're the expert. What did Disney do before this?
Oh, it was mostly just short cartoons. So all of the like Mickey Mouse and the Goofy stuff and, Steamboat Willie and all of that. It was very short cartoons, with Petey and Minnie and But yeah, that's mostly what Disney ended up doing. It was just all the short cartoons.
Hmm.
Ooh,
Did you
so
see? Oh, go for it.
no. Go ahead. Did I see what?
I was going to say, did you hear that they originally had Snow White as a blonde?
Nuh-uh.
Yep.
Oh, I didn't know that. That is cool. That is crazy.
And then I guess once they were like talking about in the magic mirror describing her beauty, and the evil queen says, lips red as the rose, hair black as ebony, skin white as snow. So they changed it to black hair.
Huh. Interesting. So they didn't catch that part from the book.
Yeah.
That is pretty awesome, though. One thing I did catch that I did not research before is the kiss with the prince. You know, I always thought of it, which is what most of the cartoon movies or the fairy tale movies have, is they always say true love's kiss. But when she's reading from the book and she's like, oh, I wonder if there's an antidote, it says love's first kiss.
I did see that.
Isn't that crazy?
Yes.
And I'm thinking, how have I never ever noticed that? Like, I always thought true love's kiss, true love's kiss. And then you read it and you're like, love's first kiss. And you're like, man, like, mind blown.
I agree. No, I know. I did catch that.
Crazy, right?
There was a couple other things. Did you notice, like, in the dwarves in their cottage, did you notice all the animal carvings everywhere?
Oh yeah, it's super pretty. All the details that they had.
Yeah. I saw that. I mean, I noticed because, like, the thing that stood out to me was the stairs. They had like an owl on every step, and you know me and owls.
You and
Anyway,
owls.
so then I saw that they said that nearly every wooden surface has an animal carved into it. So I thought that was interesting.
No, that is really cool. At first I thought you were gonna say something because of Jake, because he's a Mr. Handy Dandy Wood guy.
Don't give him credit for anything.
We love you, Jake, if you're listening. But yeah, no, that is really cool. It's very awesome. Ooh, the other thing I didn't tell you about the Grimm tale is the way the queen died. So she thought no, she didn't have a boulder fall on her, and she wasn't eaten by vultures. I mean, maybe she was, and we just don't know about it. But no, what ended up happening is she thinks Snow White is dead, and she gets invited to a wedding because, you know, there's a royal wedding and she's a monarch or whatever, so they all get invited to the same shit. And she goes to the wedding and she sees Snow White and is in such shock. But, you know, Snow White obviously told them, or the dwarfs told them, that she was trying to kill her. So they had put iron shoes on coals and had them get red hot, and they made her dance until she fell down dead.
What?
Yeah, pretty gruesome, right?
That's crazy.
It is.
I think they had a wise choice in having her fall off of a cliff.
Right? I mean, and then I'm thinking back to these tales like the Grimms from the 1800s, and they're supposed to be kids' fairy tales.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what the hell are you guys trying to teach the children? Like, what is the moral of this story?
Wow.
Don't be jealous or you're gonna have your feet burned.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I have no idea what's gonna happen with that. Oh, now as you say, there was something cool that I ended up like happening upon when I was Googling and researching things, is that Disney's used the colors lime green and black to represent like evil. And so if you look, the huntsman, his eyes are like this super bright green. The queen, her eyes are like super bright green.
Mm-hmm.
And the hag, oh, the apple, like when she puts it into the poison, the cauldron or whatever, it's kind of green and frothy white.
Yeah.
But it's supposed to be symbolic for greed, envy, jealousy, inexperience, and sickness. You know, and then black or anything dark is like death and grief and evil. So I always love that Disney has so much like symbology
Yeah.
in the things that they do.
Okay. Another thing that I thought was kind of odd after she makes the apple, I think it's after she makes the apple and she's walking out and she walks down those steps, like down into the basement or whatever. And she walks past like is that supposed to be Snow White's dad or like the guy the skeleton that's locked up and was reaching for water?
Oh, yeah. So there's a couple different theories. There's the theory that like it was her dad, that he died so that the queen could end up being the queen and could rule, without him. And then the other thought is that she captured the prince, cuz I don't know if you remember, but he comes over the wall and he's singing to her and she's like looking out the window, like totally spying on them like a creeper. But they say that she captured him and killed him, which in turn leads to the theory in the end that when him and her are like riding off into the clouds, that they're actually like reunited in death.
Ew, that's so dark.
Right, isn't it?
Sit out the way, kicked his arm or something, and it was just like, I remember, like when we watched that, I'm like, wow, she is evil and has been evil, for a long time. But yeah, it makes you wonder because they don't explain that. Like, who is that?
Nope, they don't. There was a lot of cut scenes. Like, there's so much extra footage. I've never seen all of it, but I know there's hours and hours of clips that probably include something along those lines. But going back to that theory about them being reunited in death is if you go and you watch the ending, and I'm going to post a clip of it too. They're riding off and you can see all the clouds. They're like this pretty peachy pink kind of color. And you don't see the castle at first. But then you see this bright shining light and then the castle starts to like come into focus. But it's in the clouds. Like you don't see a road or anything that leads to the castle. And so there's the theory that, they're like riding off to their castle in the clouds or whatever, like heaven or something.
You're making me not like this movie now.
I'm so sorry.
Like, it's dark. You think of Disney, you think happy and cute and sweet and
Right. I mean, you say that, but if you think back on it, it's not really. Because almost every character in all of these Disney movies, either one is an orphan or they only have one parent, whether it's just a dad or just a mom. Right, it's usually the dad. They always kill off the mother. What's up with that? We need to ask them about this stuff. But yeah, there's always some kind of tragedy in their life. There's always some kind of challenge that they have to overcome, some trial or tribulation. I mean, in a sense, they're dark-ish. I mean, but yeah, in the majority of the movies, there is like laughter and joking and fun and family and friendship and love and, all those amazing things.
Well, no, I mean, yeah, every Disney movie has, some sort of sad tale, right? Or some sort of tragic, some sort of tragedy or whatever. But,
Right.
To think that, like, oh yeah, they're actually dead in the end. Like, okay, so what? That's a happy ending?
Right.
United once they're dead?
Right. After going through all of that nonsense, tortured and all that stuff. But, I mean, if you think that's terrible, wait till we get to Peter Pan. Peter Pan, he's like the ferryman for, like, taking dead people. He's like the...
You know what? That would make more sense than the actual movie.
Right.
Like, okay, that one makes sense.
Right. No, it is. It's a rough story when you start breaking it down and really analyzing it. I mean, in general, it's beautiful, it's well done, the imagery and the music. But yeah, when you start breaking down the pieces and you think about what this little girl went through and this evil queen and the fact that she's with these 7 dirty little men. You're just like, what the fuck?
I know. What did I just watch?
Right. Yeah.
My kid watched.
Right. But I mean, if you don't like analyze it and look into the details, you're like, oh, that's such a cute movie.
Yeah.
But yeah. So podcast is over. We're not doing any more movies. We're not ruining Disney for ourselves anymore. And even though we're talking a bunch of shit, we love Disney. So don't take it the wrong way. We love Disney. We're all about it.
It's just kind of interesting when you know, like you said, when you pick them apart. It's just kind of interesting. Like, wow, I never thought of it that way. So.
Oh yeah. Which is
view of it.
Oh yeah, and that was probably the biggest reason why I wanted to do the podcast too, is I don't think I've ever run into a situation where people are talking, I don't want to say realistically, I can't think of what a good word would be, where people they love the thing, but they also look at it like the opposite perspective, like doing the devil's advocate side of it. You know, I love Disney. I've always loved Disney. I will continue to love Disney. But, you know, nobody's actually sat and gone, what the fuck? Ever.
Right.
Because, you know, it's always the chipper, happy, like, analyzing of the films. And so, yeah, I wanted to look at it and be like, what is going on here? Why is nobody questioning this?
I am really interested. Like, now I'm totally intrigued, like, about the whole, like, I really wish that prequel thing would have gone about.
Right.
There's so many things that are left unsaid.
Mm-hmm.
So many questions now. So it's like, I need answers. Even if you just make them up for me now, like, I need some sort of answer.
Right.
I really want to know who that dead guy was that didn't get to his water.
Right, yeah. I'll have to do some research, see if I can find something more concrete than my vague answers that I came across.
Okay, random fact. I don't know if you said this one. Happy is the only dwarf whom Snow White does not refer to by name.
Oh yeah. Cause she's going.
It's weird how when she walks into the house and she's like, "Oh, you're Doc," and I'm like, "How do you know?" Yeah, they're obvious, like Sneezy. And,
Right.
You know, but like
The rest of them.
how do you know he's Doc?
Right. Yep. Poor Doc and his stuttering, his dyslexia in his speech. But yeah, no, he does. He like cuts her off and he's like, "Oh, I'm happy, ma'am, and this is Dopey. He don't talk none," or something like that. But there were a couple of things that I saw when they were cleaning the house. All the birds brought in these really pretty yellow flowers. I don't know flowers. Maybe they were daisies or something. But then when Sneezy goes and sees the flowers, he's like, "Oh, marigolds," and they're like completely different flowers.
Oh, are they?
On the table, yeah, they're completely different flowers. And it blew my mind because, like I told you, I was recording my commentary. So you hear me say, "Oh, what? They're different," like in the video. So I'm like all in shock.
So I'm really bad at catching that kind of stuff, and Jake will notice it all the time. Oh yeah, their shirt was unbuttoned, and now it's buttoned, and I'm just like,
Bryce too. Yep. He's the same way. He's always about, what does he call it? Continuity errors.
right?
The only reason I noticed any of this is because I was specifically looking for things I could talk about. That's the only reason. If I wasn't, it would have just gone over my head like everything else.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay, I don't know. This is from BuzzFeed, so I don't know how true it is, but it says 6 of the dwarfs have eyebrows modeled after Walt Disney's.
That's cool.
He was the exception. His eyebrows were white and bushy. Really? Like, they even thought of using Walt Disney's eyebrows?
Oh, that's funny. That's too funny. Too cute. Yeah, I don't think I ever came across that.
If you watch closely, you'll notice after Snow White is awakened by the prince's kiss, she kisses 6 of the dwarfs goodbye. She does not kiss Sleepy.
Oh, he was probably sleeping then. It still makes me laugh though, is like as soon as she wakes up, she like embraces the prince or whatever, and then it's like, peace, I'm out.
I know. Here they've been just, and oh, wait, did they address how long it had been?
No, I don't think they talk about it.
Yeah, but it's like here they've been like putting flowers in her, made her a glass coffin.
Yep.
Put flowers there. They're like, staying by her at all times, and then the prince just takes off the glass, gives her a kiss, boom, she's out of there.
Right? She's gone. And then it's funny because they stood by the coffin like every day, year round. And I'm thinking, if somebody had done that while she was at the house, we wouldn't be in this situation.
Exactly. If at least one of you had been there.
Right. Yep. Everybody's like, don't open the door, don't do this. I'm like, there's 7 of you. Do you really need all 7 of you to go and work this job that's not really a job?
Well, and do you like how the animals that are like telling her stuff, throughout the film, and she's all about doing what they say? Till the witch or whatever she is at that point shows up, and then she's like, "You guys knock it off. It's an awful thing."
I never noticed that, but yeah, like, why do you trust their judgment previously, but now you don't?
Until there's a creepy witch lady bucket of apples.
Right.
Demanding that you eat them.
Right, and that's the thing that blew my mind too. I'm like, how is that not suspicious? She's just like, fine, like, take a bite, eat it, make a wish, like, like trying to rush her along. I'd be like, no.
The movie was one of Hitler's personal favorites.
What?
He owned a copy and screened it in his home movie theater, and he allegedly even drew sketches.
What? He was an artist. If only he continued on that career path.
Yeah. Would have been a little bit happier.
Right. Bob Ross. He should have had some Bob Ross.
Yeah, happy trees. Can you imagine Hitler's happy trees?
Oh, God. Terrifying. Sounds like a nightmare.
Okay, listen, I'm finding more stuff.
Oh, you're Googling right now.
To skirt around the issue of how old Snow White was supposed to be, Walt instructed his animators to make Snow White appear old enough to marry. So that's what I'm saying, like, the whole 14 thing, like, where do they decide that she's 14? Like, because it was never addressed. So there you go. She was old enough to marry.
I think it's from the stories. I think that's where it's because it's supposed to be based on the Grimm Tales. I think that's where they're like, oh yeah, she's supposed to be like 14. But yeah, I was thinking, man, if she fell asleep, well, hopefully she slept for at least 4 years because then she'd be legal.
Right?
And there wouldn't be, it wouldn't be like a cradle robber.
Did you say this one? The movie was actually such a success that Walt used the profits from it to purchase 51 acres of land in Burbank to build studios and facilities that are still used to this day.
I did not mention that. That is a great fact because he made hella money off of that. I'm sure some of the proceeds went towards Disneyland and his other films.
Oh wow, there's even like a rough sketch of one of the songs that didn't make it.
Is it the... Oh, yeah. I've read about that one. There's that soup one.
On the soundtrack now.
Oh, that's cute.
The Snow White Returns, they were going to use some of the scrap scenes, including music in your soup.
Okay.
They had sketched out and everything.
Nice.
Prince Charming is only on screen for a little more than 2 minutes total. He was originally supposed to have a larger role, but because artists found him difficult to realistically animate, Charming got cut.
That's why he probably doesn't have a real name.
Yeah.
Like, they never gave him an actual name. The queen's name is Grimhildra. I found that somewhere.
Wow.
It's a terrible name. Oh, they did a movement model. You know how you were talking about Bambi and all the animals? When Snow White's dancing, her dancing is the same as Maid Marian in Robin Hood and the same as the Duchess from The Aristocrats, the old lady.
Oh, really?
The way she's dancing. Yeah, it's like the same movement.
So when I was a kid and went to Disneyland, for some reason, this is the one thing that sticks out in my mind. But Snow White, I saw Snow White, and so I ran up to her, and I was like, Snow White, and I had an autograph book for her to sign.
Mm-hmm.
And so she goes to sign it, and she was talking about making she's like, I've got to run. I have to go make the dwarves a gooseberry pie. The voice that the Snow White at Disneyland used was creepy. She had some work to do. It did not sound like the Snow White. And anyway, so that was the thing that stuck out to me for the longest time.
Her voice creeped you out.
Making gooseberry pies. So.
Oh man, it's super funny. And I'd have to do more research on this, but I remember reading about people that are the characters for the different Disney princesses and stuff, that they legit look at your bone structure and all of that stuff in order to consider you to wear the costume in the park.
Wow.
They have this crazy high standard for the people that end up being the characters. And I'm like, I could be Tiana. No, I couldn't. I'm not that dark.
My old roommate in Huntington, his really good friend of his, she Belle? I think she was Belle. She played Belle in Tokyo.
Oh, wow. Tokyo Disney.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's so awesome. Wow.
Loved it. Loved that job.
Oh, I'm sure.
How could you not?
I have no idea. I've always thought it'd be so great to work for Disney. I've still would love to work for Disney, but Bryce will never move to Florida. He will never move to Southern California. So it's just, I would never get the job. I had a great time doing this with you. Thanks so much for doing my first episode.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me. It was fun. It was good to talk to you. I feel bad that I didn't have a whole lot for Snow White, but...
Oh, no, it's totally fine. I mean, the only reason I have so much is I'm like, well, it's the first episode. I need to put a whole bunch of stuff out there. I'm definitely not going to have the same amount of content for Pinocchio. So that was me and my girl Allison discussing Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. I would love to hear your thoughts on the movie that I do each week. If you've got any memories, any opinions, and whatnot, please send them my way. You can email me at adultsondisney@gmail.com. You can follow me on Facebook, Adults on Disney Podcast, Instagram at Adults on Dis Podcast, DIS. And for exclusive content and to support the show, you can join my Patreon, Adults on Disney. So, catch me next week. I will be talking some shit about Pinocchio. Peace.